get this going. We like to talk. We like to talk, right? Instead of we like the stock now, it's we like to talk. So the nice thing is we had the Fed stuff come out, but what I kind of was assuming would happen was happened more or less, just to a greater effect. And a lot of this, what I've been talking about recently, since I kind of been back for the last couple of days or week, is the VIX, the VIX, the VIX, the VIX. So we could have kind of we could have seen something like this happening anyway, or a greater chance of something like this happening, based off of the VIX and what it looked likely for the VIX to do. So just to kind of get the general idea out, I think we have more down to go on the VIX. So I think we most likely have a little bit more to go up on the market. There are a couple stipulations that I could see. I would expect any kind of reversal in some of these things to push us down quite a bit harder than we did this time. I'll kind of go into that a little bit later. But let's stick to the VIX. Let's kind of show. So we talked about this last time. I talked about I was still feeling some bullishness coming in. I didn't think the bearishness would stick. That's what I was thinking from the VIX anyway. Obviously, the Fed's talk came out. I think the technicals of it added to the bullishness kind of coming through here. Anyway, that's kind of how I take it anyway. I don't want to be like, oh well, it looks more likely the VIX is going to drop anyway. So remember, when we look at from the day time frame, we can see here and here. So it's possible it could push up. There's a decent amount of space here. There's not a lot of consolidation really. We go down here in one day, boom, we go up. We just shoot up on Monday. When we look at this on the week time frame, if we remember correctly, this is our week time frame. This is what we have in the month, and then there are 375s down here, and then this is our trend line as we remember. Just a quick review. So looking at this anyway, we saw that we hit here for the week time frame. There's no consolidation. These are the two areas. It seemed pretty unlikely that we were going to push up and really stick past this, because what do we do on the week? We need to push up here, here, and then maybe here. So it's going to take it would have taken a lot of pushing up and a lot of accumulation up here, which it just seemed really weird, because the markets was pretty high. There was a couple things, but the market's pretty high up. So I put it this way simply: the market's either going to go up or down. It didn't really seem like the market was going to sit in one place for a decent amount of time and give the VIX the ability to kind of consolidate right there. So this isn't any surprising. It's nice to see this. I feel like now the market's back to a little bit more normalcy anyway when it comes to some of these technicals. The bearishness, the extra bearishness on it didn't really make a lot of sense, or it felt cautious. But what I'm looking for now is some building up. So essentially what we can see here is this month time frame is right under it. It's very strong. And if we look at, let's just kind of do this to put, this is a decent, we'll put it like here. This is a decent representation of it coming through. So now if we look at this on the week, we can see it came through here on these weeks. It came through here on these weeks. Almost came down here on this week. It might have been here if it was a little bit higher. I don't really remember. But we can see Monday in February. No, so this is a little bit higher than what it is. So it came through on most of these weeks. So the point is, a lot of the times that this has come down, it's hit the week and it's hit the day, especially like the last two times. So that's what I was looking for. It's kind of the basis of this. But in a sense, I don't think there's a reason to be too bullish. We'll kind of have to see based on all these. Long story short, I expect more up and then kind of a consolidation down. So it'll be interesting to kind of see where we start. Tomorrow will be the next month. We could have something. This is like what, a wick, and then we switch over the wick down. So we're not going to see something exactly like this, but I could imagine easily seeing something start here, wicking down. This would be the worst if it comes down to here for the market. I think it's pretty bearish. But we have, this is really strong. This is really strong. So we have a lot of support for the VIX underneath us. So I don't really think we're out of the woods yet. Though I do, like I said before, I do think in our previous history of the VIX, this last like year and a half really does weigh on us pushing back out of here. But when we do look on the overall, this is actually a really, like, if we look at this coming down is right here. So let's do here, where if it comes down right now all the way to the trend line, we're hitting here. So there is so much data underneath supporting a bounce here. So even though it does look bad here, it still looks pretty good. And all it really has to do to kind of continue back up Most of it really in the short term is kind of get back into this area, maybe more so into kind of near these tops again. And also at the same time, the next big one is just getting back above where it is right now. So anything that pushes down here, it only has to push up this much with a decent amount of support. So I definitely think it's a high chance for a lot of bearishness. And like I said before, just to reiterate, we've never seen a week or a month start under this trend line. Even if we push this up somewhere, somewhere to like around here, let me get rid of it. Whoops. Let me get rid of this on the side. Even if we push this up to like here, it's still the same thing. Let me just put it back. Excuse me, it's still the same thing, where we've never seen a week or a month. So if we expect it to like, or if I think it's going to go up, 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 I'm going to look for a month or a week to start under this trend line. I think it's currently at 17.5. 17.4 is where it currently is. Next month, it's going to be at 17.6 pretty much. So that's essentially what I'm looking for crazy bullishness, to really continue. Otherwise, I think this is a pretty good time for it to turn over. And I think everything that's going to be here is going to probably be a wick. It could take, I looking at this candle wise, I have a hard time seeing it do this and then just immediately shooting all the way back up. But I definitely see us coming down here. I mean, I think we could shoot up, but holding it and pushing up, I'm not really sure. We have a lot of space here to kind of wedge and then push up. Obviously, like we said before, this is right here where it meets. This is October, November 23rd. So that's next year. But if we do push down here, and I mean, my bad, next week, month, if we do push down here, I could see. I mean, we could push up here. I could see another candle pushing up even farther. I really could see this pushing up anyway, just because a lot of things are pretty sketchy. So we'll kind of have to see with that. But let's just kind of keep this to the VIX and not just the technicals, and not really try to bring too much fundamental wise in here. So the points that we're looking for possible bounces, I'd really like to see it come down to this 1904, or at least $19 for the VIX. I think that would be pretty good, or 19 points, whatever. I don't know way to consider this. The other one would be that 17.6 would be a pretty big area too. 17.6 is definitely a SOS area, or be careful. I have a hard time seeing, especially everything that is done. If we just do it from like here to here, or like from here to here, we see the bounce also there as well. So it's known to come under this. It's just not known to end under it. So it wouldn't surprise me to see something come all the way down here, but I would be quite a bit concerned. Now, this is a decent drop, so who knows how much the market will be. I mean, this is the VIX coming down another, what are we looking at, 17.5, another 15%. So that's quite a bit, considering a lot of things are sold down. The Dow Jones is pretty high up in itself, so we could see another maybe 10-15% of some of these things. Maybe it kind of depends, I guess, how high the VIX really moves with some of these things. Maybe 10-15 is a little too much, to be honest. It's probably too much. Just ignore that. But the point is, so we had our bounce, right? We called it, we saw it, we had the bounce here. As we'll be careful. We started too high, so it makes sense that with a Fed, anything could happen, but it makes sense that we would more likely push back down, try to find support in some of these areas at either at this 19 or at this 19.7. And then the ultimate spot would be down here at that 17.5. But I do think there is a strong chance of these two places holding, but it could push through as well. And if we do end, let's say, under 19.7 on the next month, or we do enter at 19.08, which is a whole month away, it's quite a bit away, then I would think, okay, there might be some longer term bullishness sticking. But until then, I don't super expect any of this stuff to really stick. The goal to kind of want some of this to stick a bit more, like I said before, is going to be a week or a month ending under that 17.5, 17.5, 17.6. And then I could see an extended push down to some of these lower ranges. And then we'd have to fight this trend to get back in. And then, I think that it's edging on the more on the bullish side at that point. It could go shoot back up through it. I don't see why we couldn't come down here and then, come down here, push up, and then, it could do other stuff too. The VIX is known to move quite a bit, not always sit in one place, but we do have these periods of time. This is on the month, remember, we do have these periods of time where it just, relatively sits in one area. So it is still possible that we see something like that. So really ending a month under 19, I guess not ending, starting specifically, my bad. I keep saying ending. It's about where we start more so than where we end. That's a correction. It's very important for me, so I think it's important that I make that. Um, so that we start under one of these. So we'll see. It's possible that we start under 19.8. That would be quite a bit worse, I think. That to me, we could. I mean, technically, we could tomorrow. We'll see. I feel like it's a little unlikely, but I suppose it is possible we could drop. It could drop into like 4% and start under or like 3% and start under 19.82. It's possible. I think it's unlikely, but it definitely is possible. We do also have the 375 here, which is why I would like to see it start under 19. And then I think it's a pretty close wedged area, but I think it has a lot more chance to push down quite a bit farther in this area. And I don't think it really has a chance to push down until we start underneath this trend line. That's currently how I kind of feel about this. We can just check some of the other ones. I don't think there's a reason to look at too many things. I was talking about this earlier today. I wasn't a huge fan of a lot of this stuff. I'm not really too surprised that we pushed up. It took a while after the Fed's talk. It wasn't surprising we pushed down a little bit. First of all, I thought we should have bounced here. So for me, this was all oversold quite a bit, and I wasn't really a huge fan of it. I didn't want to see this happen. I didn't want to see us just get sold down. I wanted to see us fight here. So to continue down from a fundamental Foxconn perspective, I get it. But regardless, it was oversold. I don't care about anything else. I think something can be oversold and still go down. Something can be overbought and still go up. I don't think those are mutually exclusive. I think the thing about it is if something they're more sensitive to changes if things happen, if it's overbought or oversold. That's kind of how I personally think about it. You can also look at like an indicator like RSI or stock RSI. People are going to be looking at that stuff, right? So you're not even just are you going to have people like even if you have people still trading into it, people are more likely going to trade uh, away from it if they sense any kind of change. And you're also going to have less sensible people, in my opinion, kind of trading in those situations, causing the price to flip more easily, because you're going to have people that are like, I don't want to say like smart money. I don't like that word. But if you look at it in a sense anyway, if something's kind of overbought or oversold, depending on how you're doing, you're probably sold and took profit on a decent amount. And what you have in there, you probably have a stop loss or you're probably just letting some of it run. So you're less kind of concerned about the price or reversal or anything like that happening. So anyway, wasn't too surprised. This is quite a bit to be honest. But the one thing I do like about Apple now is I do feel pretty good about. Actually, I don't feel pretty good. So I'll say things. So if we do start push down here, I feel pretty good about push falling all the way back down. And then if we do start here without doing this, like if we end in this range and we start in this range, I do feel really good about this coming back down to this area. So this is kind of what I was saying in the beginning. I do feel like if we have some bearishness show up and a reversal show up, I do feel like a lot of that bearishness on Whoop, almost knocked my mouse over. I feel like a lot of that bearishness on Apple really is going to stick quite a bit. So I do like to see that we are back in this range. And to me, that makes everything look a lot worse if we do fall back into this range. And the big thing I did want to see on this day, which I thought I could have done, but it is what it is. I do understand kind of how it gets sold here, but I wanted to see this $48 price point get hit. So now we have hit this $48 price point. We have come back up to it. So if we do turn around, I feel pretty bearish about this now, and I feel pretty confident about it being fairly bearish if we do see something like that happening. But it still has to do that, right? Otherwise, it's still here, which I don't like messing with this area. This is still another big area I'm waiting for. If we do come back under, I don't see why not to take this area. Coming back into here, we should bounce, especially since we do have this lower low here. So I don't see a reason why we shouldn't bounce in this area and try to fight back up. And then if we do start under here, I'll take a position going into there. So I feel a lot better about it now. I'm glad that we did push up. I feel like things look more normal anyway, from a technical perspective, which is nice. On the NDQ, we can see this here. I usually look at the NASDAQ on skilling, so it's kind of is what it is. So from here, we didn't really see anything specific, but my kind of gut feeling was, but mainly based off of the VIX, was we were just We were just too high. We started too high. And this isn't something, also to bring it up, this isn't something that we've, uh, when we were looking at this in like August, September, this isn't something new whatsoever at all. There's plenty of times where, let me see, I might not be able to specifically see it, but we can kind of look at like this time. I think there was another one. Um, it might have been this week specifically, but there's been other times too where it just starts really high up and we're not starting near the support, and it just makes it really difficult to kind of push up in that environment. I think I have to put the lines back here to really be able to see them, so I'm not going to do it. It's probably based on the week or something like that over here, so I don't feel like going back and wasting time kind of on that. Um, but yeah, so we'll see. The dollar could have went up. I don't see why not. I still think the dollar makes more sense. I still stick with the same thing. I think it makes more sense. The pressure wants it to go down to 100, 98 to 100, I believe. It could go either way as always, but I still think it makes more sense. I mean, even then, it's reasonable to come down to 102. I still think so. We'll kind of see what happens, and this still goes in with the bearishness in a sense too. Is how high are we going to push, and how the industrials are doing well, but how much is some of this stuff going to come back by the time the dollar does get here? To me, that's one of the big questions. And we do have a lot of support under here on the month. We have a lot of support here on the week time frame. I think of the day, there's something. Oh no, it's all the way up there, but we have something here. But it's nothing too crazy. But the week and the month, we have quite a bit of support on the dollar. So this coming down isn't really like that that worrisome. It was really high to kind of start with, and it looked really nice pushing up. So none of that was really incredibly surprising. So I guess we can go to Bitcoin. We got 3 minutes left. So for Bitcoin, it's not really too surprising that this pushes up also as well because of the news and kind of what happened today. It looks like it kind of wanted to try to push up anyway. Like I said before, the range is still that 17.5 to 17.5. I guess we could say 18K, but it's still 17.5, 17.5. I think it might be safer to, we're 17.7, but I think it might be safer to say 18K to 13.5 at this point, or maybe a little bit lower. 18K to 13.3 at this point. And I kind of say that because just because we have this line here and we can just show it again, it goes through quite a bit of data. Um, I still think I don't see why we couldn't burst through here and still hit here. Like there's nothing super bullish about breaking above this trend line, but not breaking it back above the week 200 or just this 18K level. So when there's situations like this, I see it very easy for things to come up and come through these, because if you're a short, you're not really too worried in your perspective. Okay, we just shoot up. Now we're kind of overbought, and you try to slam it down here, and then you have a place to get out if it does really push through. But it's an easy situation for reversal if you push through here too quickly, and then if they can get it pushing down and back under, it comes down, and then it just falls down like that. So I say it's 18 to 13.3 is the better way to kind of put it now. So I guess 17.5, but I feel I don't want it to be misleading. So everything else kind of shot up. S&P is in a pretty nice territory. If we look here, this is the tops for the weeks, top for the day. It's a little overbought for what it is. We're looking all the way down at 403 is where support is. So we did kind of push through that quite a bit. The VIX might come down quite a bit more, so that may not really matter. That is kind of something to note. But we also do have, noting here, on the Dow Jones, we also do have came down, somehow pushed through. I remember this. Decent times. I thought there was a decent amount of bullishness. We went over this a couple videos ago. We fall back under, can't push through, come close. This is August, so we can also mainly see this from the VIX as well. And then we're pretty much back up here. So pretty much what I was saying, continuation from the other one. If we can get back up here, it looks pretty good. It'll be a little bit sketchy to see from the VIX. This will be one hell of a drop. Let's say if we do something like this and we do come back under these, this is going to be one hell of a drop, and it may come all the way back down to somewhere around like 27K for the Dow. If we do have like a failed breakout, essentially, I could easily see that happening. But it doesn't mean that this is a bad place to take a position. Now, where it is, I'm still not a huge fan of it. But we'll kind of see. And I think I might put out another video going over some other things, but I just kind of wanted to put that in this video and just go over some of this stuff. So yeah, so take care, y'all. Just put this out, kind of went over everything, and I'll see you guys later. And I think I might need to change this to the VIX. We'll do that. All right. Take care, y'all.